played at high volume, preferably in a residential area.
Yeah, boom to the hey, all you sports fans out there in the tubosphere, to you, the individuals, part of the collective. Welcome to the OMSR Gen 5.0 with your brief but very concise host, Will, the alternative ESPN Sports Thrill. Doing a little quickie voiceover cover, intro show thing-a-ling-a-ma-jing. So just a voiceover. The 4 episodes on a whole, you know where you are based on the title, but it is somewhat limited on YouTube. The MLB side of things, got Donaldson and Trout, and some MLB dads being some major league dummies, in my opinion. Taking your kids to the ball game doesn't mean taking the baby. NFL, really cool stuff there. Odell Beckham doing some waza. And Aaron Rodgers, of course, Odell's out on NFL management's favorite players list. And then, of course, NBA from the playoffs. Chris Paul having his ankles broke. Never thought that would happen. By Seth Curry from the tournament. Great little soccer bit. And, of course, all done by only the way ESPN Sports Science can. By Dr. Pro Tam John Brinkus. Also included the sponsor. They paid big bucks for this. Plays from the air. It's a good little bit. Sometimes at the beginning, sometimes in the middle. Give it a chance if you're watching all 4. Hear it out. Good little service. A lot of you may want to take, or partake rather, of its useful info. 21st century creativity and access to knowledge. Alright. Thanks for watching. Roll clips.
To the ESPN Sports Science NFL Plays of the Year, presented by 23andMe. Up next are 2 of the season's wildest clutch turnovers, and they each deserve a little extra dose of science. In Week 4 against the Lions, Seattle's Cam Chancellor made mincemeat out of Megatron by forcing a game-saving fumble. With the game on the line, the Lions' Calvin Johnson crosses the 3-yard line at 13 miles per hour. But the hit from Seattle's Earl Thomas slows Megatron by about 4 miles per hour. This allows the closing Cam Chancellor to nail his target just a 1/10 of a second before the ball would have crossed the goal line. And even though Chancellor's flying punch generates more than 500 pounds of force, it happens just as Calvin begins extending the ball. Compared to a secure grip with 4 contact points, this grip reduces the amount of force required to jar the ball loose by up to 90% for an arm. More often than not, it fires lasers. In Week 11 against the Vikings, he got off a stunning pass that found James Jones in the corner of the end zone. As the pocket collapses, Rodgers rolls to his right at 13 miles per hour. With his momentum moving nearly perpendicular to the direction of the throw, Rodgers has to generate torque by planting his right foot into the ground with an estimated 350 pounds of force. This ground reaction force starts a kinetic chain up his body that allows him to snap his torso forward at a peak angular velocity of 800 degrees per second. And despite releasing the ball at nearly 60 miles per hour, Rodgers doesn't sacrifice any accuracy. From 121 feet away, Rodgers keeps the ball away from defender Terrence Newman and keeps Jones in bounds by hitting a window that's about the size of an actual standard house window. To make the catch, Jones keeps his eyes on Rodgers over the last 66 feet of his route. To track his location in the end zone, Jones primarily relies on visual clues in his peripherals, which have roughly 3% of the acuity of focal vision. But he's able to keep his feet 6 inches in bounds, about the length of a dollar bill. This excellent spatial awareness, paired with a money throw, added up to a crucial Packers touchdown. Now, Aaron Rodgers isn't the only NFC North QB that has elite arm strength. In Week 9 against the Chargers, the Bears' Jay Cutler rockets a pass to Zach Miller, who makes an incredible one-handed effort to haul in a go-ahead TD. For the game-winning touchdown, Cutler releases the ball at a blistering 62 miles per hour. This velocity means that Miller has a window of opportunity to catch the ball that only lasts 0.05 of a second. To reach the ball, Miller drops his left shoulder and extends with only one hand. This increases his max reach by about 5 inches. As the ball arrives, Miller absorbs an impact of roughly 45 pounds of force, more than double the force of a typical catch, which slows the ball by 95% and allows him to secure the spectacular touchdown. In Week 13, Green Bay's Aaron Rodgers connected with tight end Richard Rodgers for a game-winning 61-yard touchdown. To escape the rush, Rodgers changes direction and accelerates to 11 miles per hour in just 3 steps. And once free, he fires his arm forward at a peak angular velocity of 3,000 degrees per second. That's on par with an MLB pitcher and results in a 62 mile per hour launch velocity. And with a release angle of 52 degrees, the ball's apex is more than 70 feet. That's a height equivalent to a 7-story building. And this high trajectory produces a hang time of 4.2 seconds, on par with a typical punt. And while it was recorded as a 61-yard touchdown pass, it actually traveled 67 yards through the air. That means it could clear an Olympic-sized swimming pool by more than 12 yards. As the ball descends, Richard Rodgers, who's at least 2 inches taller than any of the Lions attempting to defend, positions himself in front of every player in the end zone. Rodgers then times his jump perfectly, making the catch when his hands are a foot higher than any defender's. And his grip is so secure that it would have taken more than 1,000 pounds of force to jar the ball loose. Rodgers hangs on for 6 and completes the miracle in motion.
This is a story about you, the incredible you. It starts with your DNA, your 23 pairs of chromosomes that make you who you are. 23andme.com is a genetic service where you can receive personalized reports online about your health, traits, and ancestry. See how your 23 pairs of chromosomes help tell the story of one incredible you. Order your DNA kit today at 23andme.com.
For example, while a running back might focus on making progress along the x-axis straight ahead, a pursuing linebacker moves side to side laterally along the y-axis. Well, our next 2 plays feature players who used the vertical z-axis when they left the ground for amazing catches. In Week 2, New England receiver Danny Amendola went full extension to make a spectacular leaping catch against Buffalo. To hit Amendola perfectly in stride with this 34-degree launch angle, Tom Brady's ideal release velocity was 40.4 miles per hour. But to clear the smothering defender, Mikel Roby, Brady gives it a little more, releasing the pass at roughly 42 miles per hour. This forces Amendola to go all Superman. With sailing 20 feet overhead, Amendola jumps to make a play. But at 5'11", Amendola is 2 inches shorter than the average NFL wide receiver. So to maximize his reach, he launches his center of mass at an 18-degree angle, an angle which falls in the range used by world-class long jumpers. This optimal push-off increases his launch velocity by more than 30% in less than half a yard. Amendola makes contact with the ball a ridiculous 14 feet from where he initiated his jump. All told, Amendola's leap covers roughly 19 feet. That's enough to clear the paint on an NBA court. And even though his catch is just a 29-yard completion on the stat sheet, it goes down in our book as one of the greatest grabs of the season. Amendola trapped the ball into his chest just 0.13 of a second before hitting the ground. That's less time than it takes a spiraling football to make one full rotation. Next, while Amendola showed off one of the year's most impressive horizontal leaps, the best vertical leap we analyzed came from a Seahawk receiver soaring above the competition. In Week 6, Seattle's Ricardo Lockett climbed the ladder to make a great grab over Carolina safety Kurt Coleman. After Marshawn Lynch throws the ball back to his quarterback, Russell Wilson gets off a pass that travels 55 yards through the air. But this heave is actually underthrown, erasing Lockett's 3 feet of separation from the defender. To achieve max vertical height, Lockett relies on generating power, which is work over time. And Lockett's launch foot is only in contact with the ground for 133 milliseconds. That's the same amount of time as an Olympic high jumper's foot pushes for liftoff. For an instant, allows Lockett to produce about 7,800 watts of peak power. This helps him convert about 54% of his horizontal velocity into vertical velocity. As a result, Lockett raises his center of mass by 3 feet. This puts his shoulders actually higher than Coleman's max touch on the play. And from this position, Ricardo Lockett is able to use his nearly 34-inch long arms to pluck the ball from over the top of his defender's hands and secure one of the top plays of the year. Play comes from Houston's DeAndre Hopkins. Taking on Cincinnati in Week 10, he took a page out of Lockett's playbook and leaped over a defender to haul in an epic one-handed TD. On the Texans' go-ahead touchdown, as the ball descends, DeAndre Hopkins is running at just 15 miles per hour and is completely smothered by Adam Jones. But with a cubic range larger than a monster truck, Hopkins gets his center of mass 24 inches higher than Jones's. From this position, he absorbs the initial contact of the ball with a massive 10-inch wide hand before clamping it between his wrist and shoulder just 25 hundredths of a second before Jones's attempted strip. And with a secure hold, Hopkins is able to get 2 feet down for the score. That wraps up our look at the best plays of the NFL season. Keep an eye out for our Combine special in the spring